With 15 minutes left, Isaiah Thompson's solution crumbled. The American Mathematical Olympiad's final problem had defeated him. Professor Whitaker's smirk grew. She'd poisoned the judges with lies about his honesty and rigged the problem to ensure his failure. Isaiah stood on the brink of losing everything. But what she didn't know was that he had one last card to play a move that would bring her world crashing down. The lecture hall at UC Berkeley pulsed with tension. Isaiah, a black sophomore from Oakland, was about to wage the fight of his life. They thought he didn't belong. They were about to face a reckoning. UC Berkeley's math department was a crucible of ambition, where only the sharpest survived. Professor Helen Whitaker, a towering figure in academia, ruled it with an iron fist. Decades ago, she'd been a prodigy poised to win a Fields Medal until a rival's controversial victory, tainted by rumors of favoritism, snatched it away. The loss scarred her, turning her into a gatekeeper who believed only elite pedigrees deserved her respect. Isaiah Thompson, a scholarship student from Oakland's roughest neighborhood raised by a single mom, was the antithesis of her ideal. Isaiah sat in the middle row of Whitaker's advanced linear algebra class, his faded hoodie and worn sneakers blending into the sea of students. His notebook was a masterpiece of precision, filled with equations he'd taught himself from library books and online forums. He'd coded math apps to fund after-school programs at his community center, earning a full-ride scholarship to Berkeley. But prejudice shadowed him. "He's just here for optics," a classmate whispered. Whitaker's TA. Dr. Paul Nguyen, a former Olympiad contender, with a chip on his shoulder, nodded. "Whitaker's test will break him." The class began with a gauntlet compute, the Jordan canonical form of a 5x5 matrix in 20 minutes. Whitaker projected the problem, a menacing matrix with complex eigenvalues. "This separates the real mathematicians from the frauds," she said, her eyes boring into Isaiah. Isaiah approached the matrix like a chessboard, spotting a symmetry that simplified the eigenvector computation. But he noticed a deliberate error. Whitaker's 3-4 entry was incorrect, throwing off the eigenvalues. Calling it out could make him a target, but staying silent guaranteed a wrong answer. He raised his hand. "Professor, the 3-4 entry is wrong. It should be 2, not 2. The room went silent. Whitaker's smile was predatory. "You're challenging me. Come to the board and prove it." Snickers rippled through the class. Nguyen crossed his arms, anticipating Isaiah's collapse. Isaiah stepped forward, his chalk steady despite his racing pulse. He corrected the entry and solved the problem in 5 minutes, his explanation crisp. "The symmetry here reduces the polynomial degree, making the eigenvectors straightforward." His solution was impeccable. Eigenvalues, aligned, canonical form, pristine. Whitaker's jaw clenched. She hadn't expected such precision. Nguyen whispered, "He must have cheated." But Aisha, a junior who'd partnered with Isaiah in a math outreach program, knew better. She'd watched him teach matrix theory to high schoolers with a clarity that rivaled professors. Another student, Carlos, a quiet freshman, who'd been mentored by Isaiah at the community center, exchanged a proud glance with Aisha. Whitaker, rattled by Isaiah's competence, escalated the stakes. "Impressive," she said, her tone dripping with venom. "But let's see if you can handle real mathematics." She scrawled a new challenge on the board, a system of coupled differential equations with non-constant coefficients, a problem designed for PhD candidates. "Solve it. Prove you belong here." The lecture hall crackled with tension as Isaiah dove into the system, transforming it into a matrix framework. Aisha slipped him a discreet note. You're untouchable. But halfway through his solution, hit a wall. The coefficients caused the system to diverge, threatening a cascade of errors. Whitaker's smirk returned. Time's ticking. Mr. Thompson, Isaiah's heart pounded. He'd never faltered in front of a crowd. Memories of his mom, who'd worked double shifts as a bus driver to buy him a second-hand laptop, flooded back. "You're my genius," she'd said, drawing on a perturbation method he'd learned from an MIT Open course. Isaiah reworked the problem with seconds to spare. The solution checked out on Whitaker's software. Flawless and elegant, gasps erupted. Aisha clapped her grin wide, Carlos whispered to a friend. "He's unreal." Even skeptical classmates exchanged stunned looks. Whitaker's face was unreadable, but her hands trembled. "Satisfactory," she muttered, her voice betraying a crack. Nguyen hissed under his breath. "He's not Olympiad material. He's a fluke. Whitaker wasn't done." That evening, she emailed Isaiah an invitation to the American Mathematical Olympiad, a prestigious contest for the nation's top university students. "Show the world you're not a one-hit wonder," it read. It was a carefully laid trap. Whitaker's own Olympiad loss 20 years ago, when a rival publicly exposed her error in a proof, had left a wound that never healed. She was determined to see Isaiah humiliated on a national stage, ensuring no one would ever challenge her authority again. But Whitaker's machinations went deeper. She whispered to colleagues that Isaiah had questionable study habits, planting seeds of doubt among Olympiad judges. She contacted the scholarship office, suggesting his funding was at risk if he underperformed, leveraging her influence to create bureaucratic pressure. She even lobbied an Olympiad judge, a former mentor, to ensure the problems targeted Isaiah's weaknesses, particularly recursive sequences, a topic he'd struggled with in practice. Nguyen, eager to curry favor, collaborated by designing a problem so diabolical it was meant to break even the strongest contenders. Isaiah confided in his support network, Aisha, his mom, Mr. Jenkins, his high school math teacher, and Carlos, who'd become a loyal friend. "Whitaker's out to destroy me," he said, his voice heavy. His mom wrapped him in a hug. "Your math will shut them up." "Baby." Aisha clenched her fists. "We'll train like it's war." Jenkins, now retired, but still sharp, sent a thick packet of old Olympiad problems. "You're not just good kid, you're historic." Carlos, inspired by Isaiah's grit, offered to help with practice sessions. "You're my role model, man." The cost of the fight was immense. Isaiah turned down a summer internship at Google, a golden ticket that could have secured his family's financial future to focus on the Olympiad. His mom, though supportive, worried aloud. "That internship could have changed our lives," she said, her voice tight. "Are you sure?" Isaiah nodded, his resolve firm, but his stomach knotted. "If I don't win, I lose everything. My scholarship, your sacrifices, our dreams." For 5 grueling weeks, Isaiah's life was consumed by preparation. He and Aisha pored over past Olympiad challenges. Fourier transforms stochastic processes, combinatorial proofs. His mom quizzed him over late-night dinners, asking him to explain complex concepts. As if teaching a child, Jenkins mailed handwritten notes on advanced techniques, including a section on recursive sequences. Carlos organized mock contests, timing Isaiah to build his speed. The community center kids, whom Isaiah had mentored, sent him a handmade card. "You're our math hero." But Whitaker's campaign took its toll. Rumors of Isaiah's dishonesty spread across campus. A classmate confronted him in the library. "They say you're faking your skills." The scholarship office sent a chilling letter. Your academic standing is under review due to performance concerns. Nguyen, acting as Whitaker's enforcer, slipped a note to a judge suggesting Isaiah's prior work was suspect. The pressure reached a breaking point one stormy night. Isaiah sat alone in his dorm, staring at a recursive sequence problem that refused to yield. The weight of his sacrifices, the Google internship, his mom's worries, the rumors crushed him. "I've given up too much," he told Aisha over the phone, his voice breaking. "If I fail, I'm nothing. My scholarship's gone. My family's hopes are gone." He was ready to quit, to walk away from the Olympiad and the fight. Aisha rushed to his dorm, rain-soaked but fierce. "You're not fighting alone," she said, gripping his hand. "We're your army." His mom called her voice a lifeline. "You're not their victim. You're their revolution." Jenkins sent an email. "I failed my first big contest. It made me stronger. You'll be unstoppable." Carlos showed up with coffee and a pep talk. "Those kids at the center believe in you. I believe in you." Their words reignited Isaiah's fire. He threw himself back into recursive sequences, determined to dismantle Whitaker's trap. He studied late into the night, mastering Z-transforms and generating functions, turning his weakness into a weapon. The American Mathematical Olympiad at Stanford was a battleground of intellect. Contestants from MIT, Harvard, and Caltech filled the auditorium, their confidence palpable. Isaiah walked in, the weight of countless eyes, some curious, many hostile. Pressing down, Whitaker's rumors had spread like wildfire, tainting his reputation before he even began. She sat among the judges, her gaze sharp as a blade. Nguyen, stationed at the scoring table, had ensured the final problem was a recursive sequence nightmare, tailored to exploit Isaiah's struggles. The early rounds were relentless optimization puzzles, tensor decompositions, probability distributions. Isaiah navigated them with precision, his solutions clean and innovative. Aisha, watching from the audience, cheered silently. Carlos, unable to attend, texted, "You're killing it." But the final challenge loomed: derive a closed-form solution for a recursive sequence with irregular coefficients. Nguyen's carefully crafted trap. Isaiah attacked the problem, constructing a generating function with methodical care. But disaster struck. His model collapsed, producing an unstable series that spiraled into chaos. With only 15 minutes left, he was stuck. Whitaker's smirk widened. Her rumors had rattled him, and Nguyen's problem was dismantling him. The judges murmured some casting doubtful glances, swayed by the whispers of his dishonesty. This was Isaiah's darkest moment. The auditorium seemed to close in the ticking clock, a death knell. He saw his scholarship evaporating, the Google internship he'd sacrificed, fading his mom's endless shifts, wasted. The community center. Kid's card flashed in his mind. Math hero. He was failing them all. But Aisha's voice cut through the despair. "You're not alone." Jenkins' words echoed, unstoppable. His mom's fierce love anchored him. Revolution. Closing his eyes, Isaiah recalled a Z-transform technique from a research paper. Jenkins had sent a modified approach for irregular sequences. He scrapped his work, his hand trembling but resolute, and rebuilt the solution from scratch. Each step was deliberate, his mind racing to stabilize the series. As the clock hit 0, he submitted. The judges tested his solution. Flawless, elegant, revolutionary. The auditorium exploded in applause. Aisha leapt from her seat, screaming. Carlos, watching a live stream, texted a string of emojis. Whitaker's face drained of color, her smirk replaced by shock. Nguyen's confidence shattered, his trap undone. They'd underestimated Isaiah's unbreakable spirit. The judges deliberated, cross-checking Isaiah's work against the others. One initially skeptical due to Whitaker's rumors, shook his head in awe. "This is beyond brilliant," he muttered. Another whispered, "He's redefined the problem." The audience buzzed, students from rival schools exchanging stunned looks. Even those who doubted Isaiah couldn't deny the truth unfolding before them. The judges took the stage, their announcement electrifying the room. Isaiah Thompson won first place with a score of 92 to 100, surpassing an MIT PhD candidate by 4 points. The crowd roared, a standing ovation echoing through the hall. A Stanford judge approached, his voice warm. "Your Z-Transform approach was groundbreaking. We're offering you a fully funded research fellowship starting this summer." Whitaker's downfall was swift and severe. The math department launched a formal investigation into her conduct, spreading false rumors, pressuring the scholarship office, and attempting to manipulate the Olympiad violated Berkeley's ethical standards. The inquiry uncovered emails between Whitaker and her judge ally, exposing her sabotage. She was suspended indefinitely. Her chance at a prestigious endowed chair revoked. Her once unassailable reputation lay in ruins, students and faculty whispering about her disgrace. Nguyen, implicated as her accomplice, faced a demotion, his career tarnished. Isaiah's victory rippled far beyond the auditorium. He returned to Oakland, a hero. His story splashed across local newspapers with headlines like, "Oakland's math prodigy defies odds." He poured his prize money into launching a free math workshop at the community center, teaching underserved students the techniques that carried him to the top. The first session drew dozens of kids, their eyes wide, as Isaiah explained matrices with the same passion he'd shown at the Olympiad. A local TV station covered the event, calling it a beacon of hope for Oakland's youth. Carlos, now a volunteer at the workshop, beamed, "You're not just a winner, you're a movement." Back at Berkeley, Whitaker's next class was a shadow of its former self. Students buzzed about Isaiah's triumph and Whitaker's fall. She stood at the podium, her usual arrogance replaced by a quiet humility. "Isaiah Thompson has proven that talent knows no boundaries," she said, her voice barely above a whisper. "I was wrong to doubt him. I've learned from my mistakes." Isaiah didn't gloat. He sat in his usual spot, sketching a new proof in his notebook. Aisha leaned over, grinning. "You didn't just change the game, you rewrote the rules," his mom called that night, her voice thick with pride. "You've made Oakland shine, baby." Jenkins sent a handwritten note. "You're not just a mathematician, you're a legend." Isaiah's triumph was more than a trophy. He'd dismantled a system of prejudice, proving that no barrier could dim true brilliance. His workshop grew inspiring. A new generation of dreamers. The community center kids wore shirts with his Olympiad score, 92 to 100, printed boldly, a symbol of what was possible. Have you ever been underestimated because of who you are? What did you sacrifice to prove them wrong? Share your story in the comments. Like, share, and subscribe for more inspiring tales. What's a moment you turned doubt into triumph? Tell us below.